If you're a veteran, a military spouse, or you're helping a grandchild use VA education benefits, there's a real change coming on August 1st, 2026. And if you don't know about it, it could catch your family off guard. This isn't about your disability check or your pension. It's about a specific VA education program that millions of families rely on, and the rules around it are shifting in a way that's already confusing people. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's changing, who it actually affects, and this is the part most people miss. A simple step you can take right now to make sure your family doesn't lose a benefit you're entitled to. The change involves something called Chapter 35, formerly known as the Survivors and Dependents Educational Assistance Program, or DEA for short. This is a monthly stipend the VA pays to spouses and children of veterans who have a permanent and total service connected disability, who went missing in action, or who died on active duty or from a service connected condition. If you've served or your spouse served and you've got a child in high school using this benefit, this next part matters a lot. The overall program continues. What's changing is much narrower. Starting August 1st, 2026, families will no longer be able to use Chapter 35 funds for secondary education, meaning high school coursework, GED level training, tutoring, or academic remediation programs. This comes from a federal law passed back in December 2022 that redefined what counts as a qualifying educational institution under this program. It removed the words secondary school and replaced them with post-secondary school. Lawmakers gave everyone a long runway over 3 years before this actually kicks in, and that runway closes on August 1st. This change only affects secondary education, that's high school level programs. It does not touch college degrees, vocational training, apprenticeships, or on the job training programs under Chapter 35. Those remain fully covered. So if your grandchild is using this benefit for community college, a trade school, or a 4-year degree, nothing about that changes on August 1st. The confusion mostly hits families who are using Chapter 35 to help pay for private high school tuition, homeschool support programs, tutoring services, or GED prep. That's the piece that's going away for any new program starting on or after the cutoff. If your family already has a student enrolled in a qualifying secondary program before August 1st, 2026, you're not immediately cut off. The VA will continue paying benefits through the end of that current academic term. What you can't do is start a brand new high school term or program after that date and expect it to be covered, even if your child still needs that coursework to graduate. The VA has been direct about this. There's no exception for graduation requirements once the term ends. So if this applies to your family, the smart move is to check exactly when your current term ends and plan your next steps before that date arrives, not after. Now, a quick word for those of you thinking, this doesn't apply to me, I don't have a high schooler. Stick with me, because there's a second change buried in here that affects every single Chapter 35 recipient, regardless of age or program type E, and I'll get to that in just a second. But first, if this kind of clear, no hype breakdown of VA and retirement benefit changes is useful to you, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel reach more veterans and families who need this information straight without the scare tactics. Okay, back to it. Since January of this year, all Chapter 35 recipients, not just the ones affected by the high school rule, are required to verify their enrollment every single month to receive payment. That's a new requirement. You can complete it through text message if you've opted in through the va.gov portal or by email. If you miss that monthly verification, your payment doesn't get canceled, but it does get held until you complete it. For a retiree or grandparent managing benefits on behalf of a dependent, that's an easy thing to lose track of if you're not expecting it. If you or someone in your family receives Chapter 35 payments, this is worth setting a monthly reminder for, because a missed text or email notification shouldn't be the reason a payment gets delayed. This is not a change to VA disability compensation. It's not a change to VA pension benefits. It's not a change to VA healthcare. And it's not a change to the GI Bill benefits veterans use for their own education. Those programs are completely separate, and none of them are affected by this August 1st deadline. This is specifically about the DEA Chapter 35 benefit used by spouses and children of certain veterans, and specifically about the high school portion of that benefit. If that's not your situation, This particular deadline doesn't touch your monthly check. That said, I know a lot of you watching are veterans yourselves or spouses of veterans who might have grandchildren using this benefit or who help manage paperwork for a son or daughter who's a surviving spouse. So even if it's not your own benefit, it's worth passing this along to someone in your family who it might affect. A lot of these families found out about this change through a letter or a portal notification, and it's easy for that kind of mail to get buried, especially if English isn't the primary language spoken in the household or if the family member managing the account isn't checking va.gov regularly. Some people believe that once their child turns 26, all Chapter 35 eligibility disappears no matter what. That's not always true, and this is the kind of detail that can genuinely change your family's plans. Generally, if your child's eligibility began, they turned 18, or they finished high school before August 1st, 2023, the standard rule applies, an 8-year window that typically closes by age 26. But if any of those milestones happened on or after August 1st, 2023, there may be no fixed time limit at all. On top of that, the VA has said a child may still be able to use DEA benefits after turning 26 in certain circumstances. For example, if eligibility arose between ages 18 and 26, if a parent passed away during that window, or if military service extended the eligibility period, sometimes up to age 31. The old advice of use it before 26 or lose it is too simple for a lot of families today. If your family has been operating under that assumption, it's worth double checking your specific dates with the VA directly because you might have more time than you think. First, if you've got a dependent currently using Chapter 35 for a secondary school program, find out exactly when the current academic term ends. That date matters more than the August 1st deadline itself because it determines your real cutoff. Second, set up monthly enrollment verification through va.gov or opt into text alerts, so a payment never gets held simply because a notification got missed. Third, if you're unsure whether your child's specific birth date, high school completion date, or eligibility date puts them under the old 8-year rule or the newer, more flexible rule, don't guess, submit a question through Ask VA or call the VA directly at 1-8006-982-411. This is exactly the kind of detail where a 5-minute phone call can save you from a much bigger headache down the road. Now, here's something worth mentioning that's separate from this August deadline, but it's useful context if you're a veteran keeping an eye on your overall benefits picture. VA disability compensation and other entitlement benefits received a cost of living adjustment for 2026, in line with the Social Security COLA, which took effect back on December 1st, 2025, and started showing up in checks at the start of this year. I bring this up only so you're not confusing that adjustment, which already happened, with this Chapter 35 change, which is happening now in August. They're two completely different updates on two completely different timelines, and mixing them up is one of the most common mistakes I see in the comments section on videos like this. The VA has said it is directly contacting beneficiaries and schools who are affected by the high school portion of this change. If you're managing this benefit for a dependent and you have not received any communication from the VA about it, that's actually useful information. It may mean your situation isn't affected by the secondary education cutoff at all, since it only applies to high school level programs, but don't rely on silence as your only confirmation. Log into va.gov yourself, check your dependent's current program status, and confirm directly rather than waiting for a letter that might get lost in the mail or buried in a spam folder. Being proactive here rather than reactive is what separates families who sail through this transition from families who get blindsided by a paused payment in the fall. Chapter 35 is not going away. The college, vocational, and apprenticeship portions of this benefit continue exactly as they have. What's ending on August 1st, 2026, is the ability to use these funds for new secondary education programs, meaning high school coursework, GED prep, tutoring, and remediation. If your family already has a student in a qualifying term, you're covered through the end of that term, but not beyond it. And separately, every Chapter 35 recipient now needs to verify enrollment monthly to keep payments flowing without interruption. If there's one single thing to take away from this video, don't assume this doesn't apply to you just because it sounds like a small technical education rule. If there's any chance your family uses Chapter 35 benefits, Log into va.gov today, check your dependents program and enrollment status, and confirm your monthly verification is set up. That one action, taken now rather than in August, is what protects your family from an unexpected gap in benefits. I know navigating VA rules can feel like a moving target sometimes, but you don't have to figure it out alone, and you don't have to panic every time a headline uses the word changing. Stay informed, verify things directly with the VA when you're unsure, and take care of yourselves and your families. I'll see you in the next video.